the world's longest-running radio station, KSHE 95, relives moments of euphoria with its documentary that highlights original film footage and photos from the 70s. Here to share more with us is director Ron Stevens. How are you, Ron?
Fine, how are you?
I'm great. You know what? Why is it such a big deal that this is being documented?
Well, I think partially because it's a rock station, and very few music formatted stations last that long. KSHE has been a rock station for 50 years. It is really the oldest rock station in the world right now.
They're actually in the Guinness Book of World Records.
It should be in there, you're right. I don't know if it is or not.
It is. I read that.
Are you serious?
It is in there.
See, you did your homework. I didn't.
Well, this is why it's a big deal, because radio stations change formats all the time.
Yeah.
And this one has never changed format from
Since
its beginning.
1967.
It's been the same, and there's no other station that's done that.
Exactly.
So what went on at this station that you felt needed to be documented?
That's the question. Why did it last so long?
Right.
It's a very unlikely story in its beginnings, because from 1967, when it turned to rock, through about 76, every single person who worked at KSHE on the air, including myself, and including my boss, Shelley Grafman, none of us had any previous experience in radio.
Now you have to put this picture together for me then. How did it happen?
Well, Shelley was selling life insurance, and his brother, Howard Grafman, was president of Century Broadcasting. They bought the station in 67. And a year later, in 68, he asked his brother, Shelley, to quit selling insurance and come run this station. And Shelley said, sure, and he was in his early 40s. So he came in and started hiring high school students. Steve Rosen, class of 68, University City High School. Gary Bennett, class of 66, I believe. I was the oldest person hired at 21. Everyone else was 16. My wife, Joy Gridnick, who was Joy in the Morning, she wasn't my wife at the time, was 17 years old when she started. Mark Close was 18. John Hewlett was 19 when he started. Alan Grafman, Shelley's son, was 16 when he started on the air.
Wow, you can't do that anymore.
No, you can't. You are so right about that. You need experience. In fact, the first time we hired anybody with experience was in 1976, when I hired John Hewlett, and he turned the job down 3 times before he accepted it.
So what was it that was so special about these kids, so to speak, in the early 70s and the late 60s that made this the little engine that did?
Well, I guess those kids must have had some talent that Shelley Grafman recognized. He gave us a lot of autonomy. He let us learn on our own, and he learned with us, and he gave us a lot of support. He was more like a father to us than a general manager. He recognized talent and individual talents, and he would cultivate that and encourage you in certain directions. I was working at KSHE for about maybe a month or 2, and I walked into his office and said, I have this idea. And he said, okay, let me hear it. And I said, I want to do this local concert called a musical bizarre. And it's bizarre because we'll have a local rock band, but we'll also have a bluegrass band, and we'll have someone playing a honky-tonk piano. And he said, well, who plays a honky-tonk piano? I said, well, my mom does. So I had my mom play honky-tonk piano. And we had Jackie Graham, a local lounge singer. So it was just a lot of different styles of music. And he said, okay. And I looked at him and said, what do you mean, okay? He says, it's your idea, go do it. So it kind of changed my life right there on the spot. Then he said, well, you know, to help you out, I'll call 7-Up. They were local at the time, headquartered here in St. Louis. He said, I'll get them to sponsor it so you don't have to deal with budgets or anything like that. And you should have an act from out of town. So I had the phone number of this guy up in Chicago. His very first album just came out. He could use the publicity. Here it is. His name is Billy Joel. So he gave me Billy Joel's phone number.
Wow.
And I called up Billy Joel and introduced myself and explained what I was doing. And he said, okay, I'll come in and just have a grand piano tuned on stage for me and a stool to sit on and a microphone, and I'll take it from there. So my mom opened for Billy Joel.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an incredible story.
There are a lot of stories like that in there.
Well, you know what? And let's get to that. We have to take a break, but when we come back, let's talk about why you felt compelled to document all of these stories, and let's get right into the juice of this documentary. Stay with us at STL Live. We'll have more with Never Say Goodbye after this break.